What's happening, everybody? Off the top rope, off the Mike Sports Network. So, following up on a big story from AEW Dynamite on Wednesday night, Andrade, just a little bit over 2 weeks removed from being effectively fired. They said released, but he was fired. And I'll read the reporting here. There's some more information that came out from PW Insider. Andrade was fired from WWE a little over 2 weeks ago, and he shows up, AEW, immediately joins the Don Callis family, aligns with Don Callis against Kenny Omega. I already talked about this. I don't think there's really much of a direction. And despite Andrade being a very talented guy, his English is very limited. And, when you're in a group with that many people and you can't really separate or diversify yourself from other people within your group, and he won't, he's at best, the fourth best guy in that group. You're in for some trouble. So I just don't have any faith. And good for him. He got another payday. Tony Khan brought him in, but that leads me to my point, because I'm just going to say this right off the bat, and I'll give you guys some information that I found from PW Insider and a couple other outlets. So AEW has no standards, none. And listen, I'm not going to run away from it. TKO and WWE have no standards. Wrestling in general doesn't have any standards. They brought back Brock Lesnar, despite him being mentioned 44 times in a lawsuit for sex trafficking. TKO, but we've known this about Vince McMahon family, by extension Triple H. We know that this is the way that they run. But we were always groomed to think that AEW, at least their fans will tell you, that Tony Khan is better and he's a beacon of hope. A beacon of hope. And he does all the right stuff. And he's all good. That's good in wrestling. Well, that's interesting, because PW Insider is reporting that Andrade was released due to multiple WWE wellness policy violations over the last year. That's why he was released. WWE opted to let him go rather than pay him for another 90 days to prevent him from working elsewhere, so no non-compete clause was included. 2 weeks? A guy got popped for basically, violating wellness. That's using improper drugs. Basically meaning he's cheating. If this were baseball, he would have been suspended. They got rid of him. You guys know the rule. I think you get two is like a multiple, I think one is like a 30-day, one is a 60-day, and then, 3 is you're fired. So if we're talking multiple, he at least had 2 wellness policy violations this year. And yet 2 weeks after he was fired for those reasons, Tony Khan couldn't wait to sign this guy. What does that tell me about your company? That you have no standards whatsoever. I mean, this is a guy who had Matt Hardy compete with a fucking concussion in the middle of a match on a pay-per-view 5 years ago at All Out. Literally hit the back of his head, hit the pavement, and they finished the match. You had Bryan Danielson, wearing an eye patch. You had Sting at 60 years old, despite being medically disqualified by WWE, diving through multiple tables and going through glass boards. You have thumbtacks and all these people. Like everybody, and Tony Khan talks about safety. And he talks about, how much more highbrow that they are, and chides WWE about being the Harvey Weinstein of WWE or of wrestling. Like, come on, really? You guys couldn't wait more than 2 weeks to bring Andrade back. 2 weeks. Like, Andrade's a decent name, but it's not like it's some mega star that you brought in here. It's not, you didn't treat him like a mega star the first time that he was there. He went to WWE, did okay. Guy's a mid-card guy. He's not going to be a main eventer. So he gets popped for wellness policy violations, multiple ones, effectively gets fired because of it. Shows that he's a problem, and yet because you just can't help yourself with your toy chest, you go empty the pocketbook and go sign a check, empty number, Andrade, come fight for me again. What does that show me about your wrestling company? You have no fucking standards, dude. Like at a certain point, why don't you just trust the roster that you have there? But not only do you add to your roster that, you can't book correctly, you add a guy who's gotten in trouble in the other place that he left you for. And let's be clear, one of the main reasons why Andrade is not there is also this, but I'm also convinced that he probably didn't want to be in WWE once he knew that his booking wasn't working out and he got divorced from Charlotte. That's a big part of this that not a lot of people are going to talk about. But to me, the bigger issue here is all of these sickos who are just, glazing Tony Khan for saying, oh man, they brought my demon back. I was like, you guys were hating on him when he showed up in the Royal Rumble in January of last year. And now all of a sudden you're happy that he's back, despite now, hey, he got himself into a decent amount of trouble. And even then, as talented as he is, I don't think he's going to be positioned as a main event guy. You got dudes there who are at the same level as him. What about Roosh? What about Roosh? Roosh is fucking great. Bring him in there. And how soon is it going to be until Andrade doesn't like what he's doing there? Maybe don't bring Sammy Guevara backstage because he may punch him in the face again. It's very clear that Andrade was a part of the issue. And WWE didn't want to put up with it. He clearly got himself into trouble and clearly was cheating to get ahead. And there's a reason why these policies are in effect. It's for health and safety. And also just hey, shouldn't be doping. You shouldn't be getting into performance enhancers to get yourself ahead. These were put in place to prevent these. For God's sake, Randy Orton's gotten popped for this wellness policy. And maybe he might have gotten a couple more, but Randy Orton is at a much higher level than Andrade is. So this was he was expendable at this point. And to me, I just don't understand. Even if you would have brought this guy in 6 weeks from now, it still would have looked bad. He got fired from the biggest wrestling promotion in the world for cheating. And he got multiple opportunities to correct it. And he did it multiple times in the same year. It's hard to do that more than multiple times over the course of your career. He did it in a year and got himself fired. Yet AEW was like, sure, I'm going to go sign this guy because he's such a great wrestler and I'm going to look past this stuff. Anytime an AEW fan wants to tell you that WWE did a shady decision, point to them about this one. Because this is ridiculous. It doesn't make your company look good when you have all of the shady stuff that you've done, behind the scenes, in front of the camera. And then 2 weeks after this guy gets fired from the biggest promotion in the world, you just bring him in and present him against Kenny Omega. When you already have a deep and talented roster that you're paying a lot of money, granted, you've lost a lot of people due to injury. It just doesn't paint you in a good light, Tony Khan. So that's my 2 cents on that. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.